What's up? It's Gerry, Arts of Wellness podcast. Coach Ramy's here again. How's life, brother? How's life, brother?
So good. Thanks for having me, Doc. It's great to be here. Number 3. I believe one of your highest rated. This is our third one, man, and I believe I'm one of your highest rated guests. Not that I pay attention or anything, but I might be one of your highest rated guests.
I think both of the ones we did are the highest rated ones.
Really?
So I think people enjoy our conversations. I'm assuming, I hope.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, today we're going to talk about the Epstein files, the current state of the political system, all that stuff, right?
Of course, that's why we're here. That's why we're here, man.
And 1 hour of that. So, but how's life? How's business?
Life is good, man. Business is, the gym is busy. I was letting him know that sometimes in summer it slows down. People take vacations. They're doing more outside activities, but this summer we've been lucky. We've been getting new members. So no, everything's good, man. I can't complain. How about you?
Busy, trying to get this other spot open that I told you about before we started recording.
That's right. Congrats, man. That's really amazing.
That'll be fun. I'll do a little announcement on Instagram.
Awesome.
So that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But today I want to talk about more so, man, kind of like a free-for-all type podcast. I don't really have an outline. I just like the conversations we have.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, like, I think entrepreneurship is something that a lot of young guys want to get into.
Yeah.
And I wanted to pick your brain as to, like, what made you want to start your own business?
Good question. And you're right. I think now everyone wants to, be their own boss, and it's glamorized, just like being a content creator, which you're doing. It seems so glamorous, but it's challenging.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be my own boss because I knew I was too stubborn to ever work for somebody else. When I was in college, I had an argument with one of my professors. I walked out. I never came back, and I realized I can't do this. I can't work with a boss. I can't have somebody talk down to me. Like, I'm very respectful and I'm a humble person, but I don't like people being condescending, trying to humiliate me in groups. And I noticed that my friends who have 9-to-5s, they complain about that. Oh, my boss embarrassed me in front of everyone today.
Yeah.
Or, I can't do it. So I knew then and there, in my early 20s, that I better create a business because there is no way I'm going to be any good at working for somebody else.
What was that argument about? Do you remember?
It was a political argument. Would you like me to say it? It's nothing I was debating with my professor whether using the atomic bomb against Hiroshima and Nagasaki was the correct decision. I did not think it was. And my professor, which was odd, instead of just, wanting to find out why I thought the way I was, almost taking it personally and getting offended by and I didn't say anything that I wouldn't be comfortable saying in front of everyone. I was saying more like things according to history. Well, Japan was already ready to surrender. This was just a show of force that was unnecessary. These are the things I was saying.
Okay.
My professor couldn't handle it. I left the class because she tried to berate me and embarrass me and humiliate me in front of the group.
What did she say?
She was saying, she was basically like, oh, you don't know enough to have this conversation. Well, I'm here to learn from you. Let's talk.
In front of everybody?
In front of everybody. She tried to basically I know more than you. How dare you question my opinion? Even though she asked the room what they thought. And I raised my hand offering my response, my opinion. And I was happy to hear her out. I wasn't taking it personally. And she was a lady. She must have been in her 60s, 70s.
Oh.
And I was shocked at how personally she took it and how sensitive she was.
Yeah.
And how it became like a fight almost. And I was honestly looking to engage and learn. So I realized that a lot of people in positions of power, whether professors, bosses, what have you, many times are insecure and seek power for the wrong reasons so they could lord over others.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of the wake-up call for me, is that I don't want to put myself in a situation where I have to shut up and be quiet to appease somebody because they have power over me, because they dictate my future and what I'm going to do. And so luckily, I've been training martial arts my whole life. And I think that's what I tell people when they say, oh, Ramy, I'm going to quit school and quit my job like you. I'm like, well, I was very lucky. I had a skill that I've been training since I was 4 years old.
Right.
So if you don't have a tangible skill that you can sell, no, I don't recommend people oh, I'm going to be my own boss. Like, you need to have some sort of skills. You need to have something that you could offer the world.
Offer
So
value.
luckily I did.
Yeah. I mean, similar with me, I think, man, because I went through a lot of school,
I
and
know you did. I'd
and
imagine. I'd hope so.
I hated school.
Really?
I despise school. I think it always felt like that to me.
Yeah.
Even like, not always. I shouldn't say always. I had some great professors, um, but sometimes it felt like they were just trying to like tell you what to do,
Hmm.
and I'm not good with being told what to do.
Yes.
And in jobs, in school, those types of situations. So I think that's when I realized, like, hey, I gotta like. I knew school was kind of a means to an end for me. Like I wanted to be a physical therapist,
Hmm.
and I needed all this school to do it. I
Yes.
can't just be like some dude on Instagram saying I'm an expert on injury prevention and all this stuff now, which
Well,
I
you
guess is a
can.
thing
You
now.
can. Yeah.
But I wanted to like I was good at school though, but
Hmm.
like I wanted to again gain some authority in the field
Yes.
at least, but not like you said in a way where I could just like tell everybody like, hey, I have this degree, I'm the man at this now, because I'm not. We're always learning.
Absolutely.
So, but I think for me that was definitely the starting point to where I was like, I don't know if I could work in a normal job, because if
Yeah.
I'm getting this in school, if I'm not liking the way people kind of like tell you what to do in school, I'm gonna hate it when I'm getting paid. You
Absolutely.
know.
Yes.
So while I didn't like school, well, I should okay. School is kind of weird these days. 'Cause I know
Hmm.
people hate on it. It's like you don't need it.
Hmm.
It's a ton of money.
Right.
It's a lot
Yes.
of money.
Yes.
I
Absolutely.
know, a lot about that. But
Hmm.
I think for me, school. Um, this is kind of good that we're talking about this because you're a
Yeah.
different side of this, the other
Absolutely.
side of the coin.
Completely different sides. You're right.
But school for me, instead of just like obviously the great education I got, I
Hmm.
think for me more so, it helped me be more structured.
Ah,
Do you know what I
okay. That
mean?
makes sense.
Because if not, I'd just be some, especially in my 20s and like
Hmm.
late teens,
Yeah.
like in college.
Yes.
As a young guy, you don't know what the heck is going on half
No
the
way.
time. So I think school kind of like centered me into like to focus on this and to be more structured and to have more of a routine,
Hmm.
which at the same time I hate having a routine,
I know what
but
you
I think
mean.
I needed it at
I know
that
what you mean.
time to kind of like funnel my thinking in terms of like not being all over the place as a
Hmm.
young guy. Where I
Yes.
think I know I was like that, and I think school, like I said, gave me that structure to hone in on what I wanted to do.
Ah, I
Does that make
see. That
sense?
makes perfect sense. It does.
But yeah, but for you, school was just not
You
the
know,
thing.
I enjoyed learning. Sometimes I would skip class and go read. Like, so it wasn't that I was
Yeah,
opposed to learning. I loved learning.
yeah,
I would get bored in class. I was one of those people in high school, for example, in history, I'd be reading ahead because the reading was too slow for me. And then I'd get called on to read where the rest of the class
yeah,
was.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'd be, 20 pages ahead and I'd get in trouble for it. So I felt like the one size fits all method of learning just didn't work for me. And it's actually one of the reasons why, like in our past conversations, I've mentioned that I teach differently and I kind of personalize the training based on the student
Yeah,
because that wasn't given for me,
yeah,
especially when I went to college. It was UIC, so it was huge classes, so many people in the class, and it was just so boring. And I loved learning. I wish it was
yeah,
more stimulating and engaging, man, but
yeah.
I was bored out of my mind, to be honest.
I think because I went to COD, a community college around
Mm-hmm.
here, for a while, for like a year or two, I think. Yeah, a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know, man. Maybe it's just being a young guy, but like I remember being like 18, 19, or 17, 18, 19, fresh out of high school. And like I said, you don't really know what's going on in the world at
Nothing.
all.
Yeah.
And like you said, like I'm bored all the time, but also I'm like anxious to like do
Mm-hmm.
something.
Yes.
So I definitely had both of those. Like I was bored, but I was anxious.
Yes.
And in terms of like, what do I do? Like
Right.
where do I go from 20 years old to, you know, 36 now? Like how
Yeah.
do I even fill that gap of where do I go? What do I
Right.
do? How do I build my life?
Right.
And I think school, I remember, like you said, I remember being bored. I remember being like, just kind of like, not fidgety, but like, I want to just like go do something. And I think
Mm-hmm.
school, it felt like school was kind of like holding me down in some ways
I get that.
sometimes.
I get that.
But I think when I went to like a better school, I went to North Central in Naperville, they were
Mm-hmm.
much more hands on with you.
Ah,
In undergrad,
okay.
this is, but
Yeah.
they were much more hands on. They kind of like tailored in a way, they kind of honed in as to what I wanted to learn because I didn't really know. I just
Yes.
kind of gave my professors this big list of like I can do this, this, or this, and they were like, "Oh, try this. You seem to have that personality to help
Okay.
people with this." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. This
Yeah.
this professor actually cares about me."
Yeah. Look at that.
And I
Yeah.
think, like you said, big schools sometimes like UIC or I'm not trying to name schools, but like they don't really care. They just care about your money.
No,
And I didn't get that at North Central, thankfully, because they
that
were
makes
very,
sense.
very hands-on, and I appreciated that. But
That's so interesting because the parallels between like the business you run and the business I run as opposed to the big chains, that's the appeal that everyone wants to go to the Harvard or whatever, the
yeah,
big
yep,
school. But usually you'll actually find that you'll do better with a smaller program, right? Like your business, like
hmm
mine, because it's tailored for the individual. Whereas the big schools, they're factories, right? They're just popping people out like they have a system. This
yep.
is what we
They
do.
want your
You don't
money.
question it. Make sure the check clears. Like,
Yeah,
so yeah, that people look for that prestige. And in martial arts, it's funny because people want to train with big name fighters thinking that somehow, this will like trickle down and their skill level will help them. When in reality, you're better off training at a smaller gym where the coach actually cares about you, but maybe, yeah, it
yeah,
doesn't have that name, and it's so funny how people look for that name because of the prestige and status, but
yeah.
the smaller programs, whether it be the smaller universities or the smaller businesses like ours,
Mm,
I mean, I'm very biased, but I truly feel those are the best
yeah,
from for so many reasons.
yeah. Um, let's talk about like the beginning stages of our businesses. Like, how was that for you overall? Like, just starting it. Like, where'd you even get the idea to start this?
I had I always used to teach my friends like martial arts for fun in my parents' basement when I was a teenager. I bought this 8 foot by 8 foot judo mat that I had this like part-time job that I was horrible at, and I saved the money from it to buy this judo mat, and I
Yeah,
started teaching my friends martial arts, just like for fun after school. And then sometimes we'd spar, and sometimes we'd like film ourselves like trying to fight, and
nice.
I really enjoyed it. So when I was 22, there was a local gym. That's when I was in this area actually. It was Crest
Oh yeah,
Hill, a
okay,
gym called Fight Club off Route 30.
okay,
And the owner just walked in. I was helping train somebody there, just working with a local amateur fighter. And the owner of the gym came in being upset that he just got this ticket. And I thought, okay, maybe because this guy's stressing about money, I should offer him like, hey, can I pay a couple $100 a month to use your space when you're not using it? He's like, perfect. I just got a ticket for $300. How about $300 a month? I said, okay, you got it. The only hours they had available were after 9:30 p.m. So
okay.
there I was trying to have a business teaching people where the class time was 9:30 to 11 p.m. Monday through Friday. So imagine what type of clientele I got. It was mostly like young dudes from the area who didn't have like a
Yeah,
lot going on, and
right.
but it was great because I got to get my feet wet as an actual coach where people are paying me to coach them. I had no idea what I was doing business wise.
Yeah,
I let people walk all over me. Oh, you don't have money. Oh, don't worry about it. Get me whenever you
yeah,
can. Like running it just out of the passion and love for the sport. But that's a horrible way to create a sustainable business. So
yeah,
those were the biggest lessons and growing pains for me where you have to run this like a business. This is not,
yeah,
run it like a business and it'll treat you like a business. That way I could hire people and hire coaches and have shirts and hoodies and we look legit. But when I was running it like just
whatever.
oh my God, it was a disaster. It was so stressful. There's no money coming in. Every month was just so stressful. Every single month.
What was so stressful about it? Just like you didn't have those boundaries,
I
you
didn't have
think?
boundaries. I didn't know how to set up like credit card payment or anything. So it was cash or check. So people would come in, oh, I forgot my, their payments due. Oh, I forgot my,
Yeah.
can I get you now? Sure. And then they don't come in for like 2 or 3 weeks. So when that, one person, but when there's 10, 12, 20 people doing that, and now, still have to pay your bills. I still have to pay the gym rent. I have to pay
Yeah.
insurance. I have to
Yep.
pay all these, this doesn't go away. And I can't tell the insurance company, hey, I got you next month, like my students do to me.
Mhm.
So that was stressful. Just trying to survive every month was very stressful, and it was tough. That pivot of running it like a real business paid off so much, and I'm very glad I did.
I think I did that too because I remember well, let me rewind. And
Hmm.
I've told this story before, but like working in corporate healthcare,
Yes.
the same thing, like going back to the school stuff, like
Right.
similar situation. Like I don't like being told what to do. They're kind of
Hmm.
telling you how to like help people, like how to
Hmm.
treat certain ailments, like a knee injury, knee surgery type thing. And so I left. I was like, yeah, screw this. And I started in my garage. Same thing as you, like people would come to my garage. I had my treatment table set up. I had my little laptop to take my medical notes or whatever, my
Hmm.
my documentation. And it felt like, yeah, like it was super stressful because I didn't have a spot. Like my
Right.
main spot, it was my house, my
Hmm.
garage.
Right.
I was a little embarrassed by it because people were
Yeah.
coming to my garage, my
Yeah.
dirty garage, but
Right.
people didn't care.
Yep.
But I think, like you said, is having those boundaries of like payments, like scheduling. People would just kind of like, they thought you were just kind of more so their friend, and I am,
Hmm.
but I'm also like their healthcare provider, so I have to
Right.
treat it as such. Like,
Yes.
hey, like payment is due at this time.
Hmm.
This is the appointment that you made with me. Cancellation policies, things like that. And I think I learned that along the way.
Yeah.
And I think that in the beginning we kind of do it for the love of the game type
Yes.
thing. We're just kind of like trying to do this just to
Hmm.
help people and hoping that they understand that we love doing this and they'll
Yes.
just follow our rules that we
Right.
don't have.
Right. Right. Right.
So once we kind of implement those rules, um, it's the same thing.
Hmm.
It takes the stress off of us.
Hmm.
It also like tells them like, hey, this is Rami's time, Jerry's time. Let's make sure to be on time and pay them at this interval or whatever.
Yep.
And both sides are less stressed that way.
Hmm.
But I think, like you said, having those boundaries is huge.
Absolutely.
Also, tell me if you disagree with me on this, but
Hmm.
like boundaries, I know a lot of people say they need, yes, we need boundaries.
Sure.
I think the flip side of that is people use boundaries these days just to kind of be like an asshole about stuff.
Sure. Absolutely.
And they create too many boundaries. Because I
Hmm.
think on social media, there's a ton of people making like, oh, you need boundaries, 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 boundaries. And you have to find that sweet spot of like not having
Yeah.
too many boundaries where you like people don't like talking to you,
Hmm.
but also having that boundary of like, this is my time, respect it, please. Does that make
Absolutely. It
sense?
makes perfect sense. And yeah, I agree with that. For example, I think when you set up a system that one, you realize how many businesses that are successful do have these boundaries in place. Like, for example, my gym is appointment only. We have limited amount of slots per class. So before, people would book a slot in class and not show up, and that would prevent other people
Right,
from
exactly.
taking that slot.
Hmm.
So we set a $15, it's not much, cancellation where no show, you get hit with 15
It's
bucks just as a
something.
way to
Yeah.
discourage you. But am I going to do it? If someone's like, "Oh, I got into a car accident," I'm like, "Well, sorry,
Right.
15 bucks."
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't want to be like, "Well, no matter what, sorry, this is the way we do it."
Yeah.
And on the other argument be, well, the corporate businesses do that. But that's why I'm not a corporate business. I don't want to be as heartless as, insert gym name here. Like, I'm just going to pick one that's not a competitor, like Orange Theory. I have nothing to do because they don't teach combat sports, right? I always have to make
Yeah.
fun of at least one gym while I'm here.
Sure.
They have a they have a policy similar from somebody I know who trains there. Like, yeah, if you don't show up, you get hit with this charge. And you
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
tell them, oh, sorry, I had a rough day. They don't care.
Yeah.
So as long as I feel like people aren't taking advantage and abusing the system,
Right.
I am lenient. When they
Same.
contact our staff, I'm lenient. I'm like, sorry, no matter what, I'm gonna. So yeah, I agree with you. There has to be a happy medium,
Yeah.
and that's so important.
Yeah. And I think we have to like take away like, well, I'm super nice in terms of
Hmm.
like my business. Like
Yeah.
in the end, like I just want to help somebody who's in pain. Like
Hmm.
their knee hurts, their back hurts. I do my best to like make exceptions, but also I don't want to be doing that too much because then, like you said, you spread yourself out too thin and then
Exactly.
you're screwed. And then
Exactly.
people are just like walking all over you.
Yeah.
So that healthy balance of having those boundaries, but also, like you said, that personal touch is also not being too corporate and having all these rules and regulations that people don't even want to like converse with you anymore.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Because a lot of people who are going to want to come to you are coming to you because they like you. And now you've become some robotic, mean dude. And now it's like, well, I could just go to whatever chain
It's the same thing. Yeah.
and get the same treatment. I'm going to Dr. Jerry because I like him and I respect him. Right. So you don't want to lose that. But I've learned that the best clients I've ever had never haggle about pricing, never give me any issue. They support my business. And I like that because that's how I support my friends' businesses. If my friend has a restaurant, I don't go in and say, "Hey, come on, let me eat for free. Let me do."
Yeah.
I enjoy supporting my friends' businesses.
Right.
It feels good to support their business. And the friends that do come and want to take advantage and get everything for free, it's not fair because I would never ask them for their work for free. I would never go to their job and be like, "Hey, can you do an hour of your work just for the hell of it?" They would say no, first of all.
Yeah.
So it's tough, man. It's a tough balance. It really is.
Yeah. Um, when did you feel like you could be doing this? Like, when did you feel like the business was running like a business? Do you know what I mean?
When one year, the first year that when I rebranded into Phoenix Sports Empire in 2016,
What were you before?
I had a business partner and we were bang boxing and fitness. He wanted to kind of be more like a fitness boxing, fitness martial arts type deal. We kind of disagreed on the direction we wanted to go. So I asked him, like, "Hey, you know what? Let me buy out your half, and I just want to run." I saw that he wasn't very
Smart
interested
move.
in it. He just wanted to make money. He liked martial arts, but he wasn't as passionate about teaching and sharing information and knowledge
Okay.
with people.
Yeah.
So late 2015, I was like, "Hey, I want to run this. I have a vision." And so he's like, "Yeah, no problem." I think he was wanting to get out. So in January of 2016, I rebranded into Phoenix Sports Empire. I thought the Phoenix was a fitting symbol because, it's something coming from the
Reborn.
ashes, being reborn, so to
Hmm.
speak. Um, and I think the first year that we made like enough where I could just cover all expenses, I was like, wow, we could really do this. Like we covered our expenses. I didn't lose money running this
Yeah.
business.
Yep.
And since then, it has been growing each year. And the more I run it like a business, while keeping the touch of
Yep.
I'm still a caring, good person who isn't all about money. For me, it's more about teaching and coaching and improving people's lives. And when you focus on that, I think the business
Yeah.
will go up,
Ironically,
right?
yeah, it
Yeah, look
still
at that.
grows. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The more you help
so
people, the more like, and also running like a business, the blend of both, it kind of grows regardless. So
and
yeah.
I've learned that people will respect the business more when they see me running it like a business. When it was
Hmm.
before, just kind of willy-nilly, whatever, "Oh, okay, yeah, get me later." People didn't respect it. Now that we have standards, we hold our members to certain standards, we hold our coaches. Hey, our coaches, you can't be showing up late, you gotta be early, you gotta look like clean, your stuff has to look good, you can't have everything. Like when you really take care of everything, people will respect the business more
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and the business grows and they want to be a part of it and they want to
Oh, for
buy
sure.
shirts and they want to represent your brand outside of the gym. And
Hmm.
the big wake up call for me was people I'd never met, never trained, ordering like PSE merch online. I'm like shipping
Nice.
it out to all different states across the country. It's like, what? People want to wear this? They've never taken a class, but they like what we stand for. They like that our social media presence. We're very much, hey, we're not this cookie cutter gym.
Oh
Like we're
yeah.
the real deal. Like, we poke fun at some of the other gyms. And we
Yeah.
do a lot of things that I was told not to do, to be honest. And that goes back to the rebellious streak, not wanting to listen to authority. Hey, you have to market your gym this way. Hey, don't do this.
Yeah.
We just now started a kids program. When we first started, people
Oh,
said, "Oh,
cool.
you need a kid. That's number one. You're not going to survive." I didn't want to teach kids. To me, they were annoying most of
Yeah.
the time. It was hard to deal with them. So now I have another coach, Coach Brooks,
There
who
you go.
teaches the kids class, and he's
Perfect.
amazing with kids.
Mhm.
So now we have a kids program. But if I would have listened to everybody, I want to do what felt right for me. And the more I listened to myself, the better the business did. The more I tried to listen to experts, my one friend was a MBA and he's like, you need $250,000 saved up before you open a gym. If I had listened to him, I wouldn't have a gym till
Oh, I
now,
love that. Yeah,
right? And
I
this is an
completely agree.
expert.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm going to listen to myself. I know what needs to be done and I need to trust
Yeah.
my instincts. And since I've done that, and I'm very selective who I take advice from, who I take information from, I'll be polite, nod my head, but in reality, I'm like, I'm not listening to anything this person's saying because this is not my vision for my business, right?
Why did he say you have to save up 250?
Because he probably learned it in grad school and that's what he's repeating. He's repeating to me.
I love how we make fun of like cookie cutter stuff in school. It's like it's like our theme. Like we make fun of like cookie cutter companies in school, but I think a lot of people use that. Well, I don't want. I'm not trying to pick on your friend or whatever, but like
No, you can pick on
I
him.
think
Well, he's not there. He's not that cool.
okay, not just him, but people in
No.
general. Like they want to like wait for this perfect time to
That's it.
come, and the more you wait in life, the more you realize there is no perfect time.
Doesn't
It doesn't
exist.
exist.
Doesn't exist. I
And
wish
to
I
me,
learned that.
right? Isn't that so
I wish I learned
weird?
that earlier,
Like,
man.
oh, I need this much money to start a business.
You don't
Like,
need
I
anything.
started in my garage with a table, and
Exactly.
I had, oh man, $170,000 in debt from grad
Oh,
school.
yeah, I can
Like, what?
imagine.
Like,
Yeah.
what do you? Yeah,
No
like,
one would have told you to run a business.
but
Oh,
also I hated my other job. I didn't
mhm.
hate it, but I didn't like it.
Sure.
Hate's a strong word,
No,
but
I get
I
it.
hate the company, not the
Yes.
clinic I was at. I love the
Yes.
people there. But yeah, like when am I supposed to wait till I'm 50 and I'm debt
Mhm.
free, then do it? Then I'm just like, or 55 or 60. Like, that's not realistic
No,
in neither is, I guess, starting a business with all that debt. But at the same time, like, if I'm gonna do it, like, I need to figure it out now.
that's right.
And if I could scale it, if people like it,
Mhm.
hey man, no time like the present,
Exactly
you
right.
know? But again, I
Exactly
think
right.
people like oftentimes are waiting for that perfect time that never comes, and then they're 60 and they're like, hey, like, they're just talking down the people that did do it, and they're just
Exactly.
haters,
Exactly. That was
right?
literally my next point is that where I think people like this who say, "Oh no, don't do this until you reach this level." They're projecting their own insecurities. And really what they're saying is, how dare you do something so bold and so courageous when I can't even do it? And I'm older, wiser, have more money, what have you, more experience. So who are you to have this ambitious idea? You want to create your own academy. And not only that, you want to make it semi-private and you want to go against all the rules of marketing. And who are you to do that? That feels
Exactly.
threatening to them, right?
Yep.
Because their own insecurities are being projected. I could never do that. So therefore, I'm going to tell Ramy that he can't do it either,
Yep.
right? And that's why I had to start really being careful who I listened to because
Yeah,
I noticed a
man.
lot of it was people just their fear, they were projecting it onto me. You know, they're fearful. They never really went for whatever it is that they wanted to do. And they feel more comfortable making sure that I also don't go for it, right? Because
And that's my biggest fear is not
mhm,
going for it.
exactly.
And thankfully, I learned that like at a somewhat young age. But
Mhm,
um, let me clarify something. I didn't have so like the debt that I did have
right.
when I started my business. It was still a lot. Like I think I paid off like 70 grand. I heard Brian like gasp back there that it was a ton of money.
It's a
I did
lot.
have originally 170
Yeah,
thousand in debt from PT school. It's
sure.
super expensive.
Yeah,
Obviously, grad school is very expensive these
right.
days. Um, but I think when I started, maybe I had like 100 grand in debt, which is still a lot
Still a
of
lot.
money.
A lot of people would be scared. They'd want to do
Right.
something safer so that they could pay
Yeah.
off that debt in a guaranteed fashion. So you still that still took
But physical
guts.
therapy school, there's a lot of chatter online of people like complaining about the money. Like I did it maybe the wrong way where I went
Mhm.
out of state for school. It was like a big
Ah,
nice school, University
okay.
of Iowa. Like I
I
was out of
see.
state. It was probably double the price, but I was like, I liked it there.
Yeah,
Let me just do it, you know? And maybe I didn't know any better either because I was like, you know, in my family we don't have a lot of people that went to college. I
right.
was just like, let me just do something, you
Yeah.
know? Um, and I'll deal with it later.
Mhm.
Thankfully I paid off my debt, what, like a couple months ago? So
That's
now I'm like
amazing,
debt
man.
free.
That's incredible. What a
Thank
great
you.
feeling that must be. No,
Thanks,
that's
Brian.
that's amazing, man.
But I see a lot of people online that um in the PT discussions were like,
Mhm.
is physical therapy school even worth it with all the debt?
I see.
Um, I think that's more of a bigger discussion, like is school worth it these
Yes.
days? And I think it's a very lame kind of way of putting it, but I think it's very true. Is if you love something enough and you work at it hard enough, you'll succeed at
Mhm.
it. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that's what I did with PT school and
Right.
physical therapy in general. I had a ton of debt. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do after I
Right.
quit my job. I knew I wanted to start a business, but I was still living at home.
Mhm.
Thankfully, I'm very frugal, and every paycheck I got went to my debt.
Nice.
I don't require much to live.
Right.
I
Right.
just need my laptop and food and
Mhm.
somewhere to sleep.
Right. Right.
So I wasn't spending money on anything.
Mhm.
But it's tough when
Mhm.
you're, like I said, when you have that debt, when you don't know what to do. But I think, like we said, there's no right time
No,
anyway.
never.
And if I could do it like that, I mean, there's plenty of people at a better start off point than me right now, and they're still afraid to do it.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
it's like, hey, man, like it's now or never in a
Mhm.
way. And sometimes you have to put that pressure on yourself because if not, time goes by so
So
fast.
quick, man.
And you're how old? I'm 36 now,
I'm
as of like
37.
a few weeks ago.
Oh, happy birthday,
Thanks,
man.
dude.
Happy birthday. I'm 37, so we're
Yeah,
very close to the same age.
but time flies.
And the older you get, you notice it goes by
It goes
quicker, right?
faster.
Like when you are a child and you're not in charge of your own time, time
Yep.
tends to go by slow. But when you have appointments and you're driving from here to this, you have just days kind of blend together, becomes a blur. Um,
Yeah.
it's really shocking how quickly time goes by. And you're right, you have to act. There is no time to waste. And it's better to start and fail. Like,
Oh,
so I'm
yeah.
glad I didn't know what I was doing at 22 running a business,
Mhm.
because it's better than being 32 and not knowing what you're doing,
Right.
right? So by this time, 37, where most people are maybe thinking about starting a gym, I've
Mhm.
been running an academy for 15 years. So
Yep.
I've made all the mistakes, all of them, right?
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I'm an expert and it just took off right away. Absolutely not. Like I said, I was just thinking my drop-in fee for classes used to be $5. And if people didn't have $5, I would let them clean the mats instead. So imagine, how am I gonna make a living charging people less than a Happy Meal? I didn't know what I was doing. It felt weird to charge people. I always taught martial arts
I
out of
know.
love and as a
Yeah.
so now I'm making them pay money for something I would do for free. If I won the lottery, I'd be doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
I like teaching martial. It's what
Same.
I enjoy, right? So yeah, I made all the mistakes, and I'm so glad I didn't wait until I was ready, because that's a myth. Like you said, there is no ready. I
You're
thought
never
that about
ready.
fighting, with business, with anything. You will never feel ready, especially if you're somebody who is very analytical, very self-critical. You'll definitely never feel ready.
Is that
And
you?
absolutely,
Yeah, me
I
too.
never felt like I was, good enough or ready. When I started teaching, I was like, well, why would anybody want to learn from me? There's a better boxer out there who could teach them. Or why would anybody want to learn jujitsu from me? There's world champions you could learn from. So I felt inadequate in every aspect.
Yeah.
With fighting, who am I to make it as a fight? You just doubt yourself because it doesn't seem that realistic.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm very self-critical. I'm always analyzing my actions and my failures and my successes. And even my successes, I'll be, I should have did this, should have done that. And that can really hold you back.
Oh, yeah.
It was tough to kind of get out of my own head
Oh,
and be
yeah.
more action-based than just someone who's a perfectionist. Because perfection is like the enemy of being good. And being good at something is awesome, right? Being good at running a gym is great. But waiting until you're gonna be perfect at it, it's just not a
It never
reality.
comes anyway.
It never happens.
Never comes.
Yeah.
I'm the same way, but like, yeah, very much like somewhat of perfectionist, I would
Mhm.
say, but I think, like you said, the big thing is getting out of your own way type
Yeah,
deal.
absolutely.
Um, because like, and I was gonna ask you this too, like,
Mhm.
do you think you were more afraid of success or afraid of failure?
Man, I think for a long time, I thought I was
Could be
afraid.
both.
It definitely was a little bit of both.
Okay.
I was afraid of I think what really stops a lot of us, myself included, is looking dumb or looking stupid in front of people, or falling on your face when everyone knows your ambition is to create an academy or be a fighter, and then you don't make it, you don't do it. And I spend so much time worrying about the opinions of people who now I don't care what they think about me. And I can't
No,
believe I
yeah.
let their opinions dictate my actions for so many years, right? Worrying. Um, it's just, if I could go back, I would remind myself, Ramy, these people's opinions don't matter.
Yeah.
Do what feels right to you, go for it, make the mistakes, fall flat on your face. All the people that we respect and admire, we've seen them fail countless times, right? My favorite fighters have lost devastatingly time and time again. Who cares, right? That's part of it. So it's the same thing with running a gym, same thing with running any sort of business, being an athlete, being a fighter, martial artist. Failure is a part of it. There's no way to avoid it.
Yeah.
And a lot of mine was, yeah, avoiding failure,
Okay.
right? And then later on, once I got deeper into my psyche and the way I thought, I realized I did also fear success to some level.
Agreed. Yeah.
And that was the weird part to kind of wrap my head around that. What do you mean you fear success? But no, I definitely did. I never wanted to be perceived as anything other than humble, down to earth,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Who does Ramy think he is? When
Yeah.
people be like, "Oh, Ramy has a program with 2 locations," I would always cringe, like, "Ugh, I've never been good with compliments.
Same.
I'm always like that." So yes, it's both the fear of success and the fear of failure were definitely halting me from achieving my full potential in whatever I was doing.
Yeah. I think, like you said, the older I got, the more I realized I was afraid of success more.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, you're kind of like, especially growing up, I mean, from school is,
Mm-hmm.
well, it's part of it, but maybe your upbringing and all that stuff. But is to like, hey, remain humble. Just
Yes.
don't make a lot of noise.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be the center of attention
Right.
type deal.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're successful, in a way, you kind of have to be that lead person in
Yeah.
your field. Like for you, it's martial arts. For
Mm-hmm.
me, it's physical therapy,
Right.
healthcare, and that's okay. Like we know what we're doing at this point. I
Sure.
hope, in
I hope
some
so too.
ways,
I hope so.
maybe we're not perfect at it,
No,
but we're
not even
well
close.
equipped to like help people
Mm-hmm.
in physical therapy and martial arts.
Yes.
Um, where I think, I don't know, maybe I got over that fear of failure a while ago, but that's definitely the first part of it, is you don't
Yeah.
want to look stupid.
Exactly.
But then when you get older and you kind of been through all those failures, you're like, hey, do I want everybody, all these eyeballs on me as I
Mm-hmm.
succeed and get better at these things? And
Exactly.
that's also a scary thing, I
It
would
is.
say. But at the core of it, it's just fear anyway. Like,
It's
why
fear.
are you afraid
Mm-hmm.
to do what you love and share it with people?
Exactly.
You shouldn't be afraid of that. But
Exactly.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like social conditioning or something,
I
that
think
people
that's a
are
big
just
part of it.
like dampened
Mm-hmm.
their personality and their love and passion for something, and they have
Mm-hmm.
to just like, I'm not trying to rag on people that do like have a normal job and then
No,
go to
not at
work,
all. Not at
and
all.
that's fine, you know what I
No.
mean? But I think a lot of those people want to do something and they don't. And like we
Mm-hmm.
said, they blink and then they're 60 and then
Yep.
they're just like, hey, like where'd the time go? I can't
Yes.
do this anymore. Like
Right.
I'm too old.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
I
right.
don't feel it like when I did when I was 20 or 30, and
Mm-hmm.
then time passed you by, and then you're like, why did I not at least try? And I think maybe in a way society is set up that way to where you just kind of blink and then time passed by. You go to
Exactly right.
work 9 to 5,
Yep.
week after week, years go by.
Yep.
You're kind of just in this haze of,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what. Yeah, a haze, I guess. Yeah,
No,
like
you're
it's
right.
some weird vortex of just like living, and but you're not actually living.
You're absolutely right, man. I
Yeah.
I saw this years ago. I saw this. I haven't watched a lot, but I saw this TED talk, and this one stood out to me so much because it was about parents talking to their children about their dreams and their careers. And what this speaker said is, when we tell, for example, kids, "Hey, mom, dad, I want to be a rock star," we always say, "Oh no, that's a hobby. Why don't you focus on math? You're so good at math," for example. The
Yeah.
parent means well. They're not trying to limit
Yeah,
their
yeah.
child. They're fearful for them. So
Mhm.
going back to fear. But what the speaker said is he said that this is of course a projection, and what you need to do as the parent or as the leader, as the guide, when you go for your dreams and you shoot for them and you really give it your all, and something good will happen from that, right? If you want to be the best boxer who ever lived, you might not become the best boxer, but I bet you're going to end up being a pretty good boxer. I bet you're going to be way better than somebody whose goal was, maybe I'll train once a week and see what happens.
Yep.
So what the speaker said was, when kids come up to you or people looking for your advice, the best thing to do is having gone for it yourself. And that way you can tell them, yes, you can be a rock star. I know you can,
Yeah.
because I wanted to be an astronaut and I became an astronaut. So I know you could become a rock star. So imagine how much more motivating that will be for the next generation, rather than, well, music's kind of just a hobby. So why
Yeah.
don't you're so good at this. It's because you yourself haven't gone for it.
It's
And when
weird.
you've
Yeah.
gone for it, you can tell other people to do it also. You can tell people to start a business. You
Mhm.
can tell people, hey, you can start your own, but you don't have to work for these big corporate entities. You could do your own thing. Um, and people will believe it and it'll motivate them because you did it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you didn't, if you had still been working for the corporation that you didn't enjoy working for, maybe your advice would be, I know opening your own business sounds cool, but you should always play it safe because that's a guaranteed paycheck. So that's how we break this cycle of stopping people from at least going for their dreams, is by going for them ourselves. And when we go for them ourselves, we'll encourage others to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So being able to tell somebody, I know you can do it because I did it, is so much more powerful than, no, I want you. Imagine telling a child to operate out of fear. What does that do for the rest of their
Yeah.
life, right? And again, these people usually mean well.
Yeah.
And that's why you still have to be careful taking advice from people who mean well. Some of the
Yeah.
worst advice I've ever received were from people who loved me very much,
Yep.
cared for me, and meant very well.
Yep.
But it was horrible advice. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be where I am today. And I also want to point in success, because people think, oh, success, like, for me, success is being in control of my day-to-day. That's what I wanted. That was
Yep.
my goal, right?
Yep.
I don't need a Bentley to consider myself. In fact,
Why
I'd
not?
much, I'll take it. Somebody wants to offer, I'll give you my address, you can ship it over.
Yeah.
But for me, a material item was never a source of success, because one of my dad's friends is a doctor and he has a Bentley. And I asked him, I said, how long did this car make you happy for? And he said, about 2 weeks. And I always thought that was so, because he was told the truth. He's like, yeah, about 2 weeks. After that, it's just my car. You
Just
go to
go
the
back to
grocery store,
baseline. Yeah.
So imagine that's like the height of, status,
Materialistic
right?
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 weeks. Whereas the careers we have, that gives you way more than 2 weeks worth of
2 weeks is
happiness.
a long time.
2 weeks is a long
to be
time
happy
to be,
about a car,
right? To be excited every
I'd
time
be
you get
like,
in. Yeah. And when I get a new Toyota, I'm excited for 2 weeks too. Oh, look at the speakers, the sounds. So I get it, but then you adjust, right? But things like making a difference in people's life, being able to wake up and have a slow morning. I like to wake up, make coffee, listen to music, plan my day, sit on the balcony. To me,
Cold plunge.
cold plunge, of course. Yeah. Weighted
You have
vest
to.
push-ups.
If
Yeah,
not, you're a
exactly.
loser or whatever.
This that's funny, because it's a callback to our last episode.
Of course. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is.
So for me, being in charge of my day was what I wanted for success. Because again, I have plenty of friends who make far more money than me. I have friends who are lawyers, but they always come like, man, Ramy, I wish I had your schedule. I wish I could.
The freedom, right?
The freedom. That's
all
what
I
I
want.
wanted. And I
And
have
make
it.
a living, of course.
Of
Yeah, you
course,
need
you
money,
need both.
unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
But I think that freedom of making your own schedule and helping people in the way that we do is the true success.
Exactly right.
And of course, like we said, waking up at 3 a.m., cold plunging, and doing everything perfectly.
Infrared sauna,
infrared
right?
sauna on
That's right.
your
That's right.
earlobes or whatever. Has to be perfect
It
too.
has to be
Every
perfect,
morning,
man.
you can't have one bad day
No.
or you're screwed.
No, exactly
Right?
right.
Then it's just then you can't succeed at all. I did want to touch on parenting. We'll come back on that later. But like, since the podcast is called Wellness,
Right.
and wellness encompasses, I want to, obviously my goal with the podcast in a way is to tell everybody about physical therapy and why I love it so much. The role that we have in healthcare, to me, is a very powerful role. But I think I named it wellness because I want to talk about other things that encompass
Sure.
wellness, like our mental well-being, our physical well-being.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on like what things do you do? Like, what do you do in your daily life that keeps you well? Let's talk about mental wellness. Like, how do you, I guess, keep your sanity?
That's a great question. Yeah, I don't know if I'm successful at that
Right?
every
Yeah.
day. For me, it was weird, because some days when I would have, like, let's say a day off, I'd be very bored, very unhappy, and I started realizing I'd become too much like fixated on this like hustle mentality. Like, oh, I always need to have appointments. I need to have this. And when I
Yeah.
didn't, I'd feel empty. And I realized that I don't need to be working all the time to be happy, but I need to be pursuing something. If I'm reading, if I am going to the gym, not to train, but just for myself, to swim or to sit in the sauna. Actually, no joke here. I like being busy at a relaxed pace, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. That makes me happy. I tend to have anxiety, so for me, I need a release for my anxiety.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't take medication. I've never been diagnosed, but I have anxiety. So
Yeah.
for me, I need a release for my anxiety, which is why I love training so much, because I notice when I'm done training, of course, my body feels better. I feel good. I feel strong.
Yep.
But I feel mentally relaxed. I feel calm. I feel I can make better decisions. So I realized that for me, having a healthy release for my pent up emotions, whatever they may be, is so important. Um, being social, sometimes that could be difficult. Having conversations with people, talking to people who I love, like my mom, my dad, my sibling, my partner, talking to these people and having meaningful conversations helps with my mental health. Sometimes I feel like I'm a one-man army and it's me against the world,
That's me.
and
Yeah.
that is unhealthy, I've realized, right?
Right?
Because it can't be you against the world. You're gonna lose, right?
Oh, yeah, you are.
So,
Oh, yeah, you are.
so yeah, just having a small but trustworthy support system and a community is so important because as human beings, we're communal people. Now more than ever, it's so easy to be isolated.
Yep.
And we could feel like we're engaged because we're on our phone, we're commenting, we're talking, we're messaging,
So
but you're not
weird.
having actual interaction, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I notice when I'm leaving, visiting my parents, and I'm leaving home, I feel happy. I feel like at peace. I
Yeah.
feel like, oh, I feel grounded, right? I visit my sibling once a week. My sibling Sarah lives in the north side of the city. Every week I go there, hang out with them and their roommates, have fun, talk. We watch like shitty reality TV and make fun of it while it's,
Hell yeah.
just something
Yeah.
like just to unwind and have fun and joke. I feel good when I do these things. So for me, it is difficult. Every day I have to do something different to make sure that my mental health is in a good space. So some days it might be reading a book on my balcony. Some days it might be taking a long walk. Some days it might be a phone call with somebody I haven't spoken to a while. Always have to do something to address these feelings that I have. And for me, it's mostly anxiety, overthinking, and I want to touch on the only emotion that men grow up thinking is acceptable, which is anger. That's the only
Mm,
emotion men are, you can express anger, right?
I'm pissed off right now. Yeah.
You and me both. I'm about to punch this wall to prove
Let's
how
do it.
manly I am right now. Actually, you see my fist is balled up. So we should encourage men to show all sorts of emotions because that sort of repression is so dangerous. And not, of course, men, but with men particular, they're told like, "Oh, be stoic, be stone faced."
Yeah.
These people who tell you that, they're all liars. They're the same people who drink all the time, have a second family, abuse their wife and their kids, and they're telling you, "Be stoic. Don't real men don't
Yeah.
show emotion." They're liars,
Okay. You're
man.
boring as heck,
Exactly
probably.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So that's my very long-winded answer to your simple. What do you think,
Well,
man?
I definitely agree with that. I want to talk about like, well, yeah, to go back on the stoic
Sure.
stuff. I think, especially in my 20s,
Mhm.
and I think now more so, it's even more prevalent online and social media, especially as young guys.
Yeah.
Like you said, you have to
Yeah.
be stoic, you have to be manly, you have to
Mhm.
be. It's weird, like, and I remember watching those same videos when I was like, it's the same stuff
It's the
regurgitated
same
all
stuff.
the time,
Same
but
stuff.
now it's just on TikTok as opposed to
Exactly.
YouTube or forums. Like when I
Yep.
was 20 or
Yep.
19, it's
Mhm.
the same advice.
Same stuff.
So it's like, and I remember doing that, and in a way, it's kind of good to like, yeah, like bust your ass, like hone in on it, have blinders, don't listen to anybody. Just it's all you versus the world.
Mhm.
In a way, you kind of have to go through that sometimes. Especially, I know I did in my early 20s. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't need anybody. Like,
Right.
screw everybody
Yep.
else. I could do this
Yep.
myself. And I still kind of have that in me sometimes. But I
Mhm.
have to like you said, in the way you win. In the end, you win is with people helping you
Yes.
and a community around you and your
Yes.
team with you, and not being so like robotic.
Mhm. You're right.
Because people don't want to be around you if you're just deadpan. I have this, this, and this to do.
Mhm.
Like, come on, man, lighten up. Like,
Lighten up.
life, you're gonna be dead one of these days. Like,
Exactly.
have fun with it. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? And I think letting go of that,
Mhm.
but also still kind of having that like hustle mentality
Mhm.
is good. But also like being carefree and like talking to everybody,
Mhm.
making friends, not being afraid to involve people. Because I
Mhm.
know in my 20s, like I didn't want like get involved with anybody at all, like
Mhm.
friends or relationships, stuff like that, because I knew I had to like study in school, like study this, study that, be so like rigid with everything. Where I think that messes people up too.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
Especially young guys, I
Exactly
think.
right.
Where I think like in my mid 20s, early 30s, I was like, I don't really have a lot of friends anymore.
Mhm.
Like, where did all that go? Like, I was just isolating myself.
Mhm.
Thankfully, like as you get older, you learn and you're like, oh, hey, I need to like have a team and let
Yep.
go of all that like I gotta be Mr. Hardcore all the time because it doesn't
Exactly.
help anybody.
Exactly right, man. And these stories of an individual succeeding against all odds are romanticized, and we're just these stories are shoved down our throat, and you realize none of them are true. You hear, oh, for example, Jeff Bezos started Amazon in his garage he had a $300,000 loan from his family. So imagine that's double the debt you were in.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, so yes, he did it. He created it, and but these stories, I wish we would tell the truth when it comes to stories and how we accomplish, which is why I believe this type of transparency is good. I am not a one-man army. My parents helped me so much. My family helped me
Same, yeah.
so much. My students help. Without them, I do need them literally to survive,
Right,
right?
right, right.
I am not a one man. I am the product of my community, my family, my people. Without them, I would be nothing. And I realize there's power and there's strength in saying that instead of being in denial. No one ever helped me. Impossible. Impossible. There's not one story of somebody who did it completely on their own without help or support.
Yeah,
I don't care. Name, Jay-Z, his partners were millionaire drug dealers who financed, the Rockefeller records, right? Biggs and Dame Dash. So there's always an asterisk next to these self-made. Now, again, I'm not trying to take away from anyone who's accomplished something incredible, but I think it's detrimental to young men and young people when we think like, oh yeah, you can do it on your own. You don't need anybody. This person did it on their own. No, they did not. No
yeah,
one did it on their own. Dana
no,
White ended up going to high school with the Fertitta brothers, who are billionaires who bought the UFC
yeah,
per his recommendation. That's not self-made. You have friends who are billionaires. Like that's like
yeah,
winning the lot. Who will listen to you? Imagine having that in your back pocket, having two brothers who are dynasty, Vegas dynasty brothers, and they have billions of dollars and they're
yeah,
ready to spend it to support you.
yeah,
We have to give credit where credit is due, and we have to kill this myth that it's you against the world. And you're right. When people like Andrew Tate started coming out, I was like, is this a joke? This is the same bullshit I used to read on like
it's the
IGN
same
and other
stuff,
forums, the
same
same
stuff.
stuff, the same thing word for
Men,
word.
websites, it's the same stuff.
It's the same shit. And when I was like 12, I kind of bought into it for a little bit. And
Yeah,
then I outgrew it at like 14, 13 years old. But now I see grown men idolizing these very basic ideas, of being against women and being against this and being against anyone who's different from you. And real men do this. What is a real man? Like this whole idea of masculinity has been so like bastardized and it's so weird
yeah,
now. And like it's strange. I do feel bad for young people who have these people as their role models because they're being misled, unfortunately.
yeah, especially when you're young and you don't know any better
You don't know
and
any
you just
better.
try to emulate them
Yep,
and you just become a pawn in their game,
exactly
essentially,
right.
and you're not yourself.
Exactly,
And that's the
exactly.
true masculinity is being yourself. True anything, true
True
being
anything.
yourself as anybody in the world is if you're not yourself, people see right through that and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, this person is just being a fake." If you're just acting like this person you see online, like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, this guy is just overcompensating for being
Exactly.
a little
You said it.
bitch."
Yep, exactly. You're right, man. You're
And it's
absolutely
just,
right.
I mean, yeah, if you're not yourself, again, like I said, people don't wanna be around you,
No.
and you're gonna learn that real quick,
Mm-hmm.
and no one's gonna help you. You're gonna be by yourself.
Yep.
You're gonna be 40, 50, 60.
Mm-hmm.
You got no friends because 'cause you're trying to be Mr. Cool Guy all the time.
Exactly. Exactly, man.
Yeah,
Exactly right.
but I guess we are kind of veering into that men's mental health stuff, which I did wanna actually
Mm-hmm.
do this with you, so
Mm-hmm.
hopefully you come back, we can talk about this a little bit
Yeah.
more. But, you mentioned parenting,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're both in our late 30s. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have any kids, right?
Not
I don't
not
have
that
any
no, I
kids,
don't
not that
think
I
so.
know of,
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't think so. No, no, I don't.
Do you wanna have kids?
If my kids are out there, contact me. No, I'm just kidding. For a long time, I didn't want to. I was strongly against it. But now as I get older, I can see like the benefit and the appeal of having a family and living for more than just yourself. So I think I would. I think I've changed my mind. My early 20s was like, I'm never, I'm gonna focus on
Oh,
myself.
that
But
was me until 2 years ago, yeah.
I get it. Me too. It was a
Yeah,
long, oh man, ask my girlfriend. It's been a tough road. Many people have told me, oh, you'd be such a good father, this and that, but I never understood it. I felt like I wasn't ready. Going back to not being ready, I felt like I was afraid of
you're
doing a
never
bad
ready as a
job.
parent, is
That's
what
what I
everybody
learned.
always tells me.
My
Yeah,
my parents were 10 years younger than me now when they had me, and I'm sure they weren't ready either,
no,
right? At 27. So How about you?
I mean, it's different now because like it is like a later generation, like where everybody's waiting to do everything.
Yeah.
Which in a way, I mean, it just is what it is. I don't think it's good
Mhm.
or bad.
Right.
Um, I think I mentioned like I don't want anything to do with kids or relationships until I was, I don't know, a couple of years ago, honestly, because it always felt to me, maybe this is like my weird like neuroticism of
Mhm.
like not wanting things to get in the way of my business or like my goals type
Yeah,
deal.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like I told you, like that's not good.
It's not good.
You know what I mean? You can't be so like rigid in your ways that you're just neglecting other people. Um, but I knew I wanted kids. I
Mhm.
definitely want kids.
Mhm.
Um, it just took me a while to figure out what I want to do with my life. But
Mhm.
again, like that was my journey, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
Like there's never a right time to have kids. I've known people
sure.
that have kids at 21, at
Yeah.
20, and they're perfectly fine. They're
Mhm.
fine. They're doing well. They make it work.
Right.
Kids pop out and you're still like, what the heck's going on? What do I
Yeah.
do? I don't care if you're a zillionaire or you don't know what's
Mhm.
going on.
Absolutely.
It's still a learning process. Um, but yeah, I want kids.
I'm sure I think people who have you could see the characteristics that lead to good parents, right? And I think you have them. You're honest,
Oh,
you're
thanks,
smart,
man.
you're thoughtful, and you're somebody who I can see. Like sometimes I worry when friends of mine tell me, "Oh yeah, we're having a baby."
Okay.
I'm like, "Oh man, congratulations!" But deep down, I'm like, I don't
But
know
even then, I've seen them like transform
exactly.
into a
Sometimes
good
the
father and a good
situation,
mother. You're like, oh
yes,
wait, where was this when I first
yes,
met them? Like now
yes,
they're good people
yes,
because they have to be in a way.
exactly right,
And if you're a
exactly right.
deadbeat parent,
Yep,
you're a loser.
that's the worst thing you can
You
be.
know, then that's it.
And I'm glad I didn't have children when I was more self-centered in my, let's say, early, mid, and late 20s. I was very much like my career, my this, I have to accomplish this.
Yeah.
And I'm sure had a kid
Hmm.
came up, I would have done my best and I would have changed. But now I have a mentality that I feel will be much more suited to being a parent, being a leader, being a guide and a protector
Oh yeah,
for somebody.
yeah. It's a also I think I don't know. Maybe this generation, I think they're more so like I said, it's okay to wait.
Yeah.
Where I think maybe us, we're kind of in the middle. Like I know, like my parents are like family or friends that I had, like, "Why aren't you having kids?" or whatever, like, at the same time, it's like, that's not I'm not there yet, like, I'll
Yeah.
get there when I get there. I knew I wanted to have kids, even when I was younger,
Hmm.
but I didn't want them to to get in the way. It sounds bad,
No,
but they won't anyway, because I know I would make it work
you
regardless
would.
in my, you know, I guess my maturity now, where I'm at now, but, I think we're closing in on an hour here. Another quick topic I wanted to
Yeah.
touch on was this is maybe we shouldn't talk about this now, but
Epstein.
maybe next time to be continued is relationships. Like, I guess either romantic or social relationships.
Hmm.
Because I know me, like I told you, like now I know, like, especially in my 30s, like I have my friend group, I have uh, other relationships that I kind of cultivated in my late 20s, early 30s, where I think helped me a lot.
Yes.
Um, how did you go about navigating and building those relationships? And we'll kind of end on this.
Okay, and you mean like romantic relationships?
Both. Well, yeah, yeah. Start there. Yeah, let's start
Okay.
there. Let's do it.
For me, earlier in my like adult life, I would date people just based on like, oh, compatibility, we get along, and I didn't have a purpose, especially because I didn't think that I would get married or start a family. So my things I looked for were different. I've just recently started learning like what kind of person I'm looking for, what kind of person I work best with. Um, so for me, that was man, I'm like a serial monogamous. So I date somebody for a while, we basically become partners, and I would find out a little too late that it wasn't the right person for me, right?
What's a little too late? Like how long?
Sometimes after years.
Oof.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes
Ay,
after
Dios
years,
mío.
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right. But it helped me learn who I was looking for.
Yeah.
Just, it's like anything. You have to make those not mistake. These people were not mistakes. They just weren't the right person for me.
Of
They're
course.
all great people. And I'm thankful for their presence in my life. Um, but I knew that something was special about my current girlfriend, Asha, when 2 weeks into dating, she came to my apartment with a full presentation of things that I should do to make my business a better
Oh.
business and a more professional
Oh.
business. She
That's
literally,
nice.
and I had no idea she was going to do this. it was amazing. It was mind blowing. And I was like, oh my God, I'd never experienced that type of like support, thoughtfulness, care. And to this day, I mean, she created our website. She does like the
Oh,
customer
wow.
service stuff.
Okay.
She designs our merch. Like, so
Dang.
that to me is like a partner, right? And
Yeah.
that fits so outside of business too, just somebody that you can laugh with and look forward to being around. Like I look forward to hanging out with her every day. And that was something that before I'd want to hang out with my friends. Oh, okay, now I got to go home and right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the truth. But oh man, this topic we will have
I
to
still
chat
have
more
that.
about
I'm
it.
just kidding. Or am I? I don't know. No, I know. Definitely, I think I was kind of the opposite where you said it was, how long did you say you were with somebody until you figured it out? Like
You know,
a
I had
year?
a couple years, sometimes
Yeah, I
yeah,
was other end of the
4 or
spectrum
5
where I was like, this
years.
person's just getting in the way. I need to leave, which isn't good
Okay,
either.
okay.
You know what I
You
mean?
drop them
That's not
quickly.
a cool, either way, it's like, you need that healthy balance of like, and this is going to get, we'll pick up on this probably next time, but
Okay,
like, I think it felt like they were getting in the way, and that's not a healthy perspective with anybody,
exactly.
whether it is romantic or just social, maybe making a new friend or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was like early 20s, where I think mid 20s, I started seeing the opposite effect, where I'm like, let me try to bring people in my life. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that involves being social
Mm-hmm.
and meeting people. And in a way, I think a lot of young guys now are just taught to focus on themselves,
Yeah.
focus on money, focus on all this,
Yeah.
which is good. I'm not saying that's bad, but I think you could blend it with finding your tribe too and not ignoring people. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
I do.
And I think that helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Where I found that balance of I need to hustle, but also I need to find my friends, and also have successful romantic relationships too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that helped me a zillion times more. I was like, oh, this is
Yes.
making me more personable.
Yes.
I can network now. I
Exactly.
feel like I'm more in tune with what's going on socially around me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that helped me overall build my business and
Absolutely.
become successful in this field because I wasn't a robot who was just like one track minded all the time. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, man.
Yeah. Um, yeah, we'll end on that and we'll pick that up whenever you
Next
want to come back.
next time, man. I'm ready.
Um, Website, Instagram,
Yes, please.
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans, of course, that's top priority. Find me Ramy Daoud on OnlyFans. No, don't look that up. There might be something
Don't
else.
look
Yeah, it might be somebody with a different. So PhoenixSportsEmpire.com. If you'd like to train with me, I'd love for you to train with me. Instagram is Ramy the Giant. My gym's Instagram is Phoenix Sports Empire. We're on TikTok now. Phoenix, I'm trying to follow Dr. Jerry's
Yeah.
lead. So Phoenix Sports
No,
Empire.
you're killing it on TikTok.
Thanks, man. I'm trying.
How do
And
you get all those views, man?
I'll tell you some things that have
Okay,
been working
okay.
for me. Yeah, but it's been a lot of trial and error.
Uh,
And shout out to the coaches at PSC, Brooks, Coach Jaime, Enrique. Shout out to Asha for helping me run the business. And shout out to all my
Shout out.
students. I appreciate you all so much.
Yeah. As always, you guys could find me. My website is artofpt.com. That's my private practice, Art of PT Sports Physical Therapy. That's where I treat athletes and active individuals, people who are just staying active. That's my website. You could contact me on there, book a free virtual consult. I have my newsletter called the PT Handbook that I send out every other week, every Thursday.
It's a good newsletter, by the way. I read
Oh, do
it.
you read it?
Yep, I
Okay,
read
well,
it, and it's
thanks.
very good. No,
Send me your
honestly,
feedback too. I
I
read
will.
everything.
I
So,
will.
simple PT tips, also diving into research on pain and sports rehab, stuff like that. So it's an easy read. It's like a couple
Mm-hmm.
paragraphs I write in there. Maybe
Yeah.
I plug this YouTube podcast, my other podcasts on
Mm-hmm.
Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Same podcast, just different platforms. A lot of stuff on there. Announcements I'm going to have in the future on that newsletter. Website, newsletter, and yeah, I think that's it. Cool?
Cool,
Good,
man.
man? All
Thanks for
right.
having me on.
We'll catch you guys next time. This camera. See you guys. Peace.